Alright, hello everyone, this is Dragyn, and welcome to my Dragon's Den. I'm back with more D&D this week because, well, D&D's great. Why would we not talk about D&D all the time? No, I'm doing another interview in my series of interviews, my last one for this little bit, and then we'll go into other things, I promise, so prepare for that. And I am here with my guest, Nightshade. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Nightshade.
Hi, I'm Nightshade. I've been playing D&D for a long time now that I've completely forgotten when I started.
Oh, this will be great.
Other than that, I don't really much do. Yeah.
I know Nightshade because he's a friend of mine, and we are in a server, and we play Curse of Strahd together every Monday or Thursday, depending on schedules. And
schedules.
yeah,
The bane of D&D's existence.
yes, and time zones as well, because Nightshade's from the UK, and then I'm all the way from the West Coast, and then we've got everybody in between us. So it's been an interesting time. Yeah, but yeah. We play in Curse of Strahd together pretty much weekly when we can, and it's a good time. And I figured, why not have a Brit for this show? Because I've had both Americans, two interesting perspectives, an artist perspective, a diversity and inclusion perspective, and now UK, because why not? My brain went there, so that's why I've got my friend. And plus he said yes, so there you go. So yes, we're gonna dive right in. So Nightshade, tell me, what got you interested in this D&D thing in the first place?
That would generally be because my brother was playing D&D for pretty much as long as I can remember. Because I have one older brother, and I constantly remember, every Wednesday or something, he'd come back and he'd say, "Oh yeah, I had a great time playing D&D with a bunch of friends. We did all this interesting stuff," and I just thought, I want to do that too. I want to be a part of this community, and I want to enjoy these same fun experiences. And so when I got the availability to do so, I sort of went up to my local game store, which unfortunately closed a few years ago. But yeah, I just sort of went up and was like, well, yeah, I'd like to join one of your D&D groups if there's space. And there was.
That is so cool. Another person who really got into it, like in person versus online. I love it. I love these stories. I was dragged into it online, and then I know I kind of dragged Ro into it a little bit online as well, and got her hooked up with a Roll20 account, and off she went. So it's nice to have Doc found it through his drama group, and then you've got it through your game store and your brother, which is really, really cool. I love it. Oh, this is going to be a question that'll take you back, but I'm curious. Do you remember what your first character was, who they were, and what kind of game you played?
I do actually. The first character I ever played was, I would like to say, an elf cleric.
Nice.
Of Helm. This was my first time playing D&D ever, and I was basically being brought in and said, okay, well, what does the party need? We could use cleric. Yeah, we don't really have any healing, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll play a cleric. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was there, and yeah, I was sort of introduced in the middle of the dungeon, just, hi, this is this cleric of this god, and yeah, he will be joining your party to try and help you now. And through this I was all, okay, yes, sure, that's what I'm doing, okay, what do I do? It was very much I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to pretend I do.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
I think... yes. Great to start off with a cleric, but you know. And the campaign I was in with that character, it's hard to say because that one didn't last that long before basically getting scrapped. Unfortunately, I think. Because people just weren't really enjoying it, I suppose. Or at least the DM wasn't enjoying running it. I think we started off as Princes of the Apocalypse, and transferred into Descent into the Underdark, so going through all the drow stuff and whatever. Which is also the story of my first TPK.
Oh my goodness. What? I've never been through a TPK yet, so what was that like? Oh my gosh.
This is a story and a half, so this should be fun.
Oh good.
So, we were lured into the Underdark, the last session. We'd been chasing someone, and we'd ran over poison spikes and passed out. Awoke, basically stripped of all our arms and armor in a drow dungeon. And we were like, okay, well, this is... What are you guys going to try and do to escape? So there's a bit of role-playing, getting to know who else was there and everything. But however, we were also getting a new player that week, because, again, I think we were on, with my being there, sort of 5 players. Yeah. And so this new one came in at 6. I can't particularly remember what character they played. Mainly because they managed to kill themselves twice in a session, which is impressive.
Yes, what?
So, most of the party went, you know what? These are drow captors, and from what we know, they don't take kindly to disrespect and stuff like that. So we were like, okay, well, we've been told to come out and clean their shrine to their goddess. Or one of them, whatever. It was like my character, I think, and then the new character. Maybe another couple of prisoners. My character decided I'm just going to put up with it and clean the shrine normally. The other character went, I take the bucket of cleaning water and tip it over my head. Gets better.
Oh yes, I'm sure.
Because... So the DM and everyone there was just like, okay, so what do you want to do? I want to rub myself all over the statue to try and clean it with my body.
Oh, chaotic energy, that one.
Yes. Then the drow came in and saw him doing this. My character was just not involved. They promptly shot him, put him to sleep with drow tranquilizer, and because we were basically prisoners with like collars around our necks. So the DM describes how, okay, you are shot, you are knocked unconscious. Cool. You are taken to a bridge. Spider silk is wrapped around the collar, and you are chucked off the bridge.
Whew. Damn.
That was the first character death that session.
Yes.
He then rolled up a new character and was playing a different prisoner. In hindsight, there was a plan for one of the sort of guards wanting to get us out and discredit the leaders there. He was going to leave the door open, and we were supposed to like go to a certain place and whatever. However, the new player got told all this information.
Oh.
And didn't communicate it properly to the rest of us.
Oh no!
So we all managed to sort of... The door was open, we went up, we got into the armory and grabbed our stuff, and we were like, okay, where next? He's gone. Like, the guy who knew everything had disappeared. What he had managed to do was go down a different set of stairs somewhere and alert the guards, well, the drow guards, guard dogs, for want of a better term. I think the specific... Whatever it is, because I can't remember what creature it is now, but it was something trained to just rip and devour and everything. The alarm was raised rather quickly after that.
Yeah.
So a bunch of unarmored characters and prisoners found themselves surrounded by drow and other drow everything. So the party just went, Yeah, that's a TPK. Like,
Yeah, that's between even drow themselves, they're quite tricky to even mess with in general. So to have a
yeah,
devouring evil beast a part of that, oh my gosh. That sounds like a lot like Anarchy, a little bit like with Clink and the chaoticness of Clink a little bit, but kind of times 10 because it led to TPK.
yeah. I don't think that player ever returned after that, honestly. I think he just showed up for that session and then just never heard from again.
Oh my gosh. Just wanted to do something a little crazy in a game, I guess.
It was certainly interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Good start to D&D, I guess. A very interesting start. I had the opposite story for me. I ended up, I think with my cleric Gwen, we did like a quick little like introduction campaign with Crumpler, and I was really scared because we knew that we were going into this like dungeon with a lot of like skeletons, and we had no idea what's really going on. We made it through very tentatively to get to the Skeleton King, and I was a little hasty with my decision. I was like, Crumpler, I just pull out my longbow and take a shot. Like, screw this. We're here to fight. Let's do it. He's like, alright, roll to hit. And I literally nat 20'd it and killed him in that one shot. And Crumpler's like, he had other things. There was more. And I was like,
Oh my lord, yeah.
today, ta-da! So, oh goodness, very different starts to D&D.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Alright, so over the years, there's definitely probably been a few of your favorite moments in D&D, so I'm very curious of what those are, whether it's character moments, NPC moments, just anything in a game. What have been your favorite moments? And you can tell me as many as you would like. We've got the time and space for it.
I think one of my favorite, like all-time favorite D&D moments as a player was when by this point we had switched DMs due to personal drama I won't get into because we'd be here for 2 hours.
Fair.
But yeah, we'd switched DMs and we've been going through a new campaign and it was a lot of fun. It was the first character I got to develop, to build, to play properly as a D&D player. I was playing a Silver Dragonborn monk and they were a shit ton of fun. They were great. And at the end, we were fighting off against this big demon boss, effectively, who would... Basically, it was... I think the whole premise of our campaign was this island has been... locked in a alternate reality bubble, sort of. It's isolated from the rest of the world. So we went through and eventually came to basically fix all the problems that were going on, and to finish it we had to try and beat this big demon that had been causing most of the trouble. Of course, this being a demon, it could fly, and most of us were not flyers.
Oh no.
So our Dragonborn warlock stepped up and said, okay, I'm going to cast fly at 5th level on me, the monk, and the fighter. We're all Dragonborn. Flying Lizard Squad.
Oh my gosh!
And it was just hilarious to see the DM just go, what? You heard me. Flying Lizard Squad.
Oh, that's the best. Finally, Dragonborn that can fly!
Yeah, unfortunately I don't remember it lasting long. Because our warlock, I believe, got hit and lost concentration.
Oof, that's some
but
fall
for
damage.
a brief moment... Not for the monk.
Hey.
Yeah, but for a brief moment we were the Flying Lizard Squad, and it was great fun.
Oh my god.
years later now, it is still one of my favorite moments playing D&D. Let's... a favorite character moment. I'd probably define this as something where either I as a character or a different character did something that I felt perfectly summed them up. And I'd say that came in my next campaign, where I was playing a tiefling wizard. And his whole thing was he was intensely loyal to his friends, because he didn't have any growing up. And so at one point, due to miscommunication, misunderstanding, and stupid decisions by our monk, they'd gone into this ancient mountain that held a like old god that had been sealed there. And they were meant to sort of create the doorway and let us all through so we could beat the thing. However, they just thought, oh yeah, we'll go in, we'll chat to him, and you guys can follow on later. Spoiler alert, that didn't work. It was like, okay, we'd like to call the rest of them in. Doors shut. Oh. Like, they'd fucked up. And so the start of the next session had us all trying to basically get either our gods or our own powers to open up the door again. Other characters tried just blasting at it, others tried praying to their gods and like, do this for me, please. But because this was more a homebrew campaign and the gods were a bit different. However, my character, Tiefling Wizard, didn't bother just open it now. He simply went, open the door and I will pay whatever needs to be paid. The voice, and because it was really cool, because it wasn't just okay, cool, the door opens. The DM really went into detail. He heard the god speaking in his mind, and you would really pay any price. And my tiefling wizard just replies, yes, whatever a fair price is, I would pay it. And he could see the ripples of the door forming in front of him. And basically, in the end, he was like, I have always been on the path to protect those close to me, those I consider my family. It is worth paying. And the DM just described how the door into the mountain appeared in front of everyone, and it was really cool. And he just finishes it off with, the god just whispers to you, you have 4 months, spend them well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm really sad because unfortunately due to real life and having to move to uni, that campaign just never got an end. But to me it was such a fun and fulfilling character moment of my character, who had basically lost everything before and had nothing, was now freely giving up what he did have to save those closest to him.
Oh wow, so in a way it was kind of an end anyway for him. In like a way that he would want, like an end that he would want.
The campaign did continue on after that for a while, but like I really felt that was a standout moment in it, at least for my character.
Yeah, I think we all have one of those big moments for any of our dear beloved characters that we've went into so much detail with. Like I've definitely got a pretty big one with Gwen that I've kind of described in like the previous episode, but for you, Nightshade, basically. And Curse of Strahd. So this is not really spoilers because Crumpler had to do something with me because I was going to be gone for 3 weeks kind of thing for vacation in Spain. So basically he had Strahd kidnap Gwen and went through a lot of torture with her. He just did these really, really weird messed up things that I can't really describe because it will be spoilers for the campaign, but it was just really awful to come back and hear all of it, and how he described it still gives me chills to this day. Like, it's just really creepy. And what was really nice is that she actually ended up getting her retribution at the end. She did the killing blow to Strahd.
Oh, that is poetic, and I love it.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was one of those moments where, like, even Crumpler was surprised because I think I had disadvantage on the attack because I was so close to him. Like, I was really up front. And I still managed, I think I rolled, like, really high, like a nat 20, and then, like, an 18, and then I had a ridiculous wisdom score because of the cleric. And so I still hit, and he was just like, I have to, 1 second, and he just turned everything off, and he had to go into this really detailed description in the book, and I was like, what? And I just started crying. And like, it was one of those things too where like the entire party cried at that moment, because they're like, oh, I know, like, Quindel's character had like the sun sword and like had like the thing that, or one of the things, or two of the things I think she had. I don't remember at this point, and it was meant for her really to do it. But then everyone else was crying like, no, this is way better of an ending. And it was just one of those moments where like I still get chills. It's like, oh, my girl, she did it. Yeah, such a great moment. Oh, I love D&D. Oh, right, back to moments. NPC, do you have a favorite NPC moment?
That would be from me DMing my own campaign recently.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So, I personally DM a Tyranny of Dragons campaign, which is a pre-written adventure all about the cult of Tiamat and her rise to power. And this isn't anything that is in the book or is recommended. This is something I came up with on my own. Because the party had a lot of gold, and I'm new to DMing, so I thought, okay, I'll provide them with a magic shop where they can get some stuff. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a nice, friendly shopkeeper. Not going to mention the name, because that was just something I came off the top of my head. And just sent everyone into hysterics. Because I accidentally... I was just like, oh, what's the first name that comes to my head? Taliesin. Wait, like Taliesin Jaffe.
Ah!
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but of course, one of our friends, Lord S, was playing the Water Genasi monk called Wave, and wasn't used to much kindness, really. And so, like, she started talking with this shopkeeper in broken common, and he just... Because he's a wizard. He's an enchantment wizard, basically, the idea I have for him. And of course, he's a wizard, so he knows multiple languages, and he noticed that Wave spoke better in Primordial. So he simply just switched to Primordial and was just talking to her normally, and like... Because Wave is very, like, childlike innocence, I suppose you'd call it. And just role-playing the interactions between a kindly shopkeeper who's just, like, being nice to this poor, like, monk who's not had the happiest of childhoods, and just seeing the player and the character just go head over heels for it was great.
Aww.
The recent session, which I think just crowns this off, is they've come back to the magic shop recently and getting resupplied, and just before they leave, Wave just went up to him and was like, we should go for dinner. I'm just like, this was not what I planned, but do you know what? I like it.
Oh, pulls at the heartstrings a little.
It just was like, not everything in D&D needs to be me exploiting their backstories for trauma, because
Exactly.
I've done a lot of that to them.
Oh my god. Oh, there's a little give and take, I guess.
To be fair, I think another one of my fun interactions is that one of the players was writing his backstory, and he's a lot more experienced with D&D than I am. And he was just like, well, I know you've been struggling to find like something for this creature in my backstory. So how about this thing? He suggested a devil that was in the in one of the books, and I was like, okay, yeah, that works. And recently, as I've got more confident with DMing, I've been starting, because I've already sort of... Words, give me 1 second.
No worries.
I've planned roughly sort of what levels they're meant to fight these like foes and stuff. Sort of like, okay, this is meant to be around this level range, or this is meant to be this level range. And they're approaching the point of, okay, yeah, they are strong enough to go fight this thing, and it actually be a challenge. And so I've been having the character dream of this creature. More accurately, I'm having the creature invade his dreams.
Ooh. Clever.
And so he's been having nightmares and stuff. And last session, he messaged me. It was just like, would you mind looking up the spell dream in the player's handbook? So, okay, sure. What does it do? Oh. Say spell of, okay, sure. With this effect, they are a terrifying figure. And when he wakes up, he needs to make a saving throw at disadvantage or take psychic damage and not gain the benefits of a long rest. So I think, yeah, it presents an actual legitimate threat, as well as just the like, oh yeah, you have to fight this thing. Remember, it's an actual impact on the characters and the story.
Yeah,
and I think moments like that are also great in D&D.
absolutely. I definitely remember some of that in other things that I've done, especially Lourdes, because she's damned me for a few times, and there's just too many times where she has way too much fun with my first time playing a bard, and what a nightmare that was, because he was supposed to be the charismatic, flirty bard that, you know, bards are, and I think his main thing was he got rejected most of the time, and all the time, and every single time. And
Oh no.
I got to the point where I was like, oh man, I didn't want this character to really reflect me in my life, but okay, here we go. I learned it's like, I'm sorry, but like, that didn't, your rolls, and I was like, I know, because I wasn't using physical dice at that time, it was roll 20. So every time he went to go do something with his character, like, I want to be the hero for you because you look hurt. How can I help you? I can do anything for you, kind of thing. And she's like, alright, well, frickin' rolling her dumb performance because you're stupid bard. And I was like, alright. And it'd be like 3 plus 8, 11. And she's like, she looks at your hand and says, thanks, I got it myself, and gets up herself. I'm like, Lord, stop! Please!
I think I remember that campaign as well. I think I was playing the cleric there.
Yeah. And then I had to leave it for some reason. I think shifts or like work and things got crazy a little bit. So then I had to leave it. And then she basically had him finally get accepted, but by her evil character, Art. So the one time he gets accepted by someone is from an evil character. So love those moments. It's such a good time. Oh my lord. Oh, D&D, so much to talk about all the time. So yes, we've had very good moments, all these things. So you are DMing right now and things like that, and how's the DMing going? How's your experiences with DMing?
It's a lot different than you expect, because I went into DMing thinking, right, I've got to plan everything out, I've got to consider whatever the players could do. They could do this, they can do that. I need to spend so much time planning. A year on, I'm just like, these idiots are going to wreck whatever plans I throw at them.
Mm-hmm.
Screw it. Here's a main plot line. Do whatever you want. Like, thankfully, the players I have mainly stay, like, they don't try and do anything, like, chaotic and stupid most of the time. And they don't try and, like, off-rail the campaign deliberately. Like, there have been a few moments where I'm just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
But why are you doing this? Why are you making a mockery of all my hard effort? I think the most egregious example of that I actually had to ban in the campaign from then on.
Oh my gosh, what?
Was the fighter, which is played by my friend, who I'm messing about with in the dreams. Phrasing, let me correct that. Who I'm having the demon terrify him in the dreams.
Yep.
Is playing a rune knight. So one of the abilities he has is to double his size into large and deal extra damage.
Yes.
So he did this in one fight. I was like, okay, it's fine. Anarchy, you're playing the wizard. You're up. I cast enlarge on the fighter. What? You what? I cast enlarge on the fighter.
The already enlarged person has now, like, doubled the... Oh my god.
So I now had a huge Asimov fighter with a glaive shredding all the enemies. I just sort of went, right, that's banned.
Yeah.
You are never doing that again unless it's like the final battle.
Yeah. Wow. I just have this big picture of a giant glaive swinging around, and oh my lord.
Like, it was meant... It was, really, because it was meant to be a big character moment as well, of reintroducing Wave to her parents. Because her backstory with parents was not good. Because they were meant to get raided by a, like, hobgoblin tribe, basically, and be put on... like, have their parent held hostage. No, they slaughtered everyone before they could do anything.
Wow. Oof.
So she's like, there goes like a week's worth of planning. Great.
Oh my gosh.
It was interesting.
Yeah. That's definitely... I think I've had a moment like that too, with like one-shots and things like that I've DM'd where it's like, alright, this is going to be like a lot of gathering information and figuring things out, and then they finally figure out the real root of the cause and not just like what people say, and like it's going to go really, really deep. And then I only had like 2.5 hours for this like one-shot too until we had to leave the building. And they spent like an hour and 45 minutes of that just talking to the innkeeper and the tabaxis that were staying at the end because I made them too interesting at that point. And I was like, well, to be fair, I didn't have any NPCs planned for this, really. I just kind of made it all up on the fly, so they're all quirky like me in general. And everyone's like, no, well, tell us more. Scratches with foot, tell us more. And I'm like, there's a whole point you're here. Please move. We have a big battle to go to. And unfortunately, because of that time constraint, that battle ended up going, well, I guess they're only really going to fight 2 of the sorcerers and like 3 tabaxi instead of the 3 sorcerers and the 6 tabaxi I had planned because we don't have time for this. So, moments, man. DMing can be great. And also, like, how do I rush this along? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's obviously been more moments in the campaign where, as a DM, I've just gone, I didn't expect that. That went quick.
Yeah, it goes
I
either...
think that was definitely my most egregious example.
Yeah. My goodness. Well, so now you've played and now you've been DMing, so what is, like, your next goal, I guess, for D&D? And, like, what do you want to hope to do with it more after this?
Honestly, I just want to continue playing. I want to continue running. I want to continue having fun with it. Because I'm only about halfway through running this campaign I'm in at the minute. I've just got them through the first introductions and they're now starting to get to the big parts. Pardon me. So that'll probably go on for another year and a half, depending on how much the sessions they go through and how much backstory I include and stuff. And just, I want to continue having fun and providing a fun experience for my players. Because D&D is about having fun with friends. That's what it's about. And I know that's what I enjoy the most.
Yeah. We all need that form of escapism, and while D&D can be difficult escapism at times, like being kidnapped by an evil vampire lord for like 5 weeks, no big deal. It's still like the fact that you're with a group of people and you're all like having fun with it, enjoying the stories. It's a really good time. I like that.
Yes.
Now onto a more personal side. Dun dun dun. I'm very curious to hear about how has D&D helped you in like your life, in like your personal life, school life. How has it helped you?
Wow, that is a big question. I would say it's had a massive impact on my life, honestly, because I have never been the most social person. I am nerdy, I am awkward, I'm weird, I'm very much different to a lot of other people, and I experienced a lot of bullying and like bad treatment during a lot of my school years because of this. And I just was not in a good place for a while, but I started playing D&D and suddenly weekly I I had a group of friends. I could go there, I could chat to, I could mess about and just have some fun with it. I could just be with people who were like me, who were nerdy, who were different, and just enjoy myself without fear of I'm going to be judged, I'm going to be made fun of, and it's really helped me to be a better person and to just be happier in general, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, hitting there a little bit with me as well too, with just throughout it was through university for me where I really felt nowhere I was like really accepted, and there's a lot of like loss of friendships and changes in environments, and there was just a chaotic like 5.5 years of my life where the university for me, and finally getting invited to play D&D by the Crumpler 64 was like, what? You want me involved? And this was after he had like made a character based off of me, and I was like, this is kind of weird, but I need to know more about this character, please. And suddenly I was like, oh, this is very creative. I don't think I've ever been this creative in my life. This is kind of fun. I have this inside me. What? And it even made me, I think, a better English teacher too, because you could fake it really that, yeah, we're going to do creative writing and we're going to do this. But with D&D though, like it's actually given me a structure on how to teach like creative writing. Like, let's start with the character first. So let's start with the background story and then find a way to kind of change it up a little bit. And so yeah, it's just been like, wow, this whole niche has basically been a part of my personal life. I can bring it into my professional life. This is crazy. This little game, this TTRPG, is just amazing what it can do for people. I love it so much. Right. And one more thing here. So it's helped you with like feeling accepted and things like that. But is there any specific skills that D&D has taught you more of?
That is a difficult question, honestly. I think, slightly jokingly, I think it's taught me everyone around you can be an idiot. Never forget that. Never underestimate how stupid people can be. Mm-hmm. In reality, I think it's really taught me a lot more about like problem solving and working together like with teams and stuff. Because like that is a lot of D&D, and what it is, it's just you need to work together as a party with all your unique skills to, solve this problem or do this, do that. And while it can sort of be applied to real life as well, because it's like, well, sure, we don't have magic and we don't have superpower, blah, 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 but we do have our own strengths and weaknesses. And that is useful, and it can be applied. You can use D&D as a basis of, okay, well, if we were a D&D party, we all focus on, okay, well, I'm good at these things and they're good at these things, so they should do that and I should do this, and then we'll combine it together.
Yeah. And I also think too, like with D&D, it also allows you to challenge yourself a little bit too. So if you're getting used to being something over and over again, like I'll admit I was that cleric heavy like beginner where I was like, I love clerics, these are great. They like have magical radiant powers and they're shiny. Like I love clerics. But to actually also give you the opportunity to step out of your shell a little bit and be like, okay, I'm gonna go be an intimidating barbarian because I don't know how, and maybe I should learn how to.
Yeah.
I had the worst experience with my first barbarian ever, though, because he could not hit anything and actually got killed by a tree blight. So I did not do barbarian well in my first try at it. Oh.
Honestly, I think that actually kind of mirrors my experience with Ranger, because for a while I did start off with just one campaign, but after a while it evolved into like 2 or 3. And like, because I do one in person on Saturdays as well with another one of my friends. And honestly, I can say I had some of the funniest and most enjoyable moments in that campaign as well. Because like, I haven't talked about them a lot because not all of them were memorable, but I do remember so many times coming away from that like session going, wow, I had so much fun. I just had so much fun in that session. and I really enjoyed myself. But the problem was, of course, I was playing a ranger. Now, rangers in D&D are not considered the strongest class.
No.
And it's getting better with a lot of the subclasses recently, but base ranger is not very good. Now, I decided I don't care. I want to play a ranger. I'm going to have some fun with it. I'm going to take dual wielding. So I was a 2 short sword wielding elf ranger. And I decided to go, do you know what? I'm going to go with the monster hunter subclass, and built my entire character around that. I was like, it's not optimal. It's not like I'm not going to do amazing damage. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have fun with this character though. And I did, because he may not have been great, but he was a lot of fun. And I think that was what's important. And also led, because I know getting sort of looping back to favorite character moments or just favorite moments in general. I think that campaign had one of the most stressful, closest, and best goddamn boss fights I've ever had in D&D, or in any game possibly.
Oh goodness, I wonder if this is gonna like mirror what I've just watched actually. I've been watching Critical Role, so just episode 1, 2, 3 is a nightmare. So that's all I'll say. I wonder if this is gonna be close to that.
But yes, we had basically been asked to go into this fiery old dwarven forge, basically, and destroy the evil, like, elemental demon thingy that resided in it that had been woken up when one of our characters was returned to life by the Raven Queen. It's a whole thing about, well, if I bring good back into the world, I have to bring in an equivalent evil. And so it was mainly to try and build in some of our characters, which, again, unfortunately didn't really work, but the amount of work and everything that had gone into it was amazing. Like, we'd spent weeks prepping and getting everything and getting knowledge and everything for this fight. We had literally gone, okay, we know that he was bound magically. We're going to try and find this and strengthen the bonds. And we did. We took like a few weeks and found like this area where we could reinforce the bonds, making the fight. Like, the DM told us later that there had been multiple forms for this boss depending on when we fought him, which was insane. And we went in with this big plan of, okay, yeah, we'll do this, we'll go here, we'll do that, blah, blah. We're like, okay, we'll get into the area. Where is he? He's not there. Immediately, our plans were thrown off because, of course, why would the creature just be waiting there when it could ambush us from above?
Oh.
So, it was a party of me, the ranger, with a sorcerer fighter combo, I believe, along with a druid, a bard, and then a monk barbarian, who was genuinely one of the best players to play with. He was so funny, he was awesome. Anyway, my character unfortunately got hit first, because that was kind of his role. He was the tank.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you are grappled. Okay, next on his turn, he'll make an attack. Yeah, you're swallowed. Oh. Oh. So I spent almost all of that fight in that creature's stomach being burned alive.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was the DM, because I spent a few rounds in there being a bit frustrated because I couldn't really do much. But the DM said, you know what? You're in there, so while you may be restrained and have disadvantage on attacks, it's easier to hit him. And so I was basically, with all my actions I could, I was like, do you know what? Screw this. I am going to just hack at you from the inside until you spit me up. And that is what I did. So I spent that fight attacking him from the inside while constantly being burned every start of the turn. Like, each turn it's like, okay, you're going to take 48 fire damage. So I would use my reaction for a very handy ranger spell called Absorb Elements, meaning I gain
Yes.
resistance to the damage of elemental spells, which saved my ass
Oh
a
yeah.
lot. But eventually I was spit out, but in the end, it got down to the wire because the only one left standing in the end was our rogue, who was a sort of DMPC to help make up the fact we didn't have a lot of players to start with.
Mm.
The rogue was on 1 health. He was on his last legs. He was the only one up. He's like, right, you son of a bitch. I'm going to stab you. And stabbing me did with a natural 20.
Oh my gosh, poetic again.
But the problem was, the DM was like, okay, he's dead. He's done exactly enough damage. I'm like, okay, this is great. Why do you look so hesitant? Death burst. What? Upon dying, the creature bursts into a explosion of fire.
Whoa.
And everyone around him must make a dexterity save or take damage. The rogue was the only one up, and all the rest of us took death saving throw fails.
Oh my gosh.
The DM just went, please, rolls. Takes the dice out from behind his DM screen. It's a natural 20.
Oh my god!
The rogue with evasion just avoids all this damage and is like, that was too close. Oh shit, right, and just, it is so close because he has to pick the right person up, otherwise we all die.
Yeah.
Gets the paladin up, can use their lay on hands and
Yeah.
everything, and it is just, it was the closest fight ever, because one change of a dice roll, one tiny little thing changing, we would have all been dead. It would have been a TPK.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the best boss fight I've ever had to date in a D&D session. Ever.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I was excited. I was like already leaning on my chair listening, and I was like, oh my god, please tell me, like, what the fuck? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wild. That's wild. Oh
There
my
were
goodness.
some other really cool moments in that campaign because of the DM went to my character, look, you were in this creature's stomach, basically. You were burned alive. Your magic gave you resistance to this, sure. You have 3rd-degree burns all over you. You are a wreck. You have no hair. You basically have nothing. And it was just, right. We managed to get out the mountain with my character basically being in so much pain the entire time. And we go to this temple. I think it's a temple of Bahamut because we know people there. And we go to the head priest, and it's just like, look, we had a major problem, and this is what our friend experienced trying to help us and save us. Can you do anything? So I will see what I can do. As he reaches for and touches my character, DM then rolls a percentile dice and just goes, "Are you kidding me?" Takes out from behind his DM screen like a 0.6 or something. That was a divine intervention. And he's just like, I didn't expect that to work first try, but hey, as he described, as the healing magic basically enveloped my character, and it was not exactly a pretty description, so I'll save the details.
Yeah.
But basically, all the burnt, dead skin fell off him and came away with all the bandages as new skin grew and his hair began to regrow and everything.
Wow.
It was... And I think the final moment from that campaign that I loved so much was when my character became the host for a wolf spirit, and basically became the best way I could describe it is the primordial werewolf.
Yeah.
So the DM had sort of made no pretenses that this was a homebrew world, and he had mixed it with sort of stuff from Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And similar to Bjorn in that, there was animal spirits representing all the different animals and stuff. So in one of these forests, or sorry, no, it was a specific forest or whatever, but all the spirits in there were like being protected and were bound there and stuff. And we were basically told to go and protect one of them, because evil forces were trying to like capture it or destroy it or something. A while back, 2 of our characters had been bitten by werewolves and infected, but we'd not done too much with it. We'd had a little like dream sequence, but he'd told us he was doing it differently. And so during this fight, my character went down. My character got killed.
Oh my gosh.
He got killed, and the DM sort of just pulled me aside. It's like, okay, so you're standing on a plain, an open plain. There's nothing. You walk for a while, keep walking, and sitting before you is a giant wolf. And it simply asks you a question. Pack or not pack? And I just sort of went, wow, because my character was a monster slayer. He was a beast hunter. He hunted beasts like this. And just, he had to decide whether he would die here or become like the things he hunted himself. And in the end, he decided his friends were his pack, basically. He wanted to protect them. And so he answered pack. On my turn, the DM hands me a sheet. So, you look over to where Lucian's body was, and it's gone, and standing there now is a huge wolf. And the wolf spirit had vanished. I had become the host for the wolf spirit.
Whoa.
And again, it is so sad, because again, due to me moving because of uni and stuff, I never got to finish that campaign or play out those effects.
Yeah.
But I was playing as this giant wolf and wolf spirit that was taking down like these evil things, and I had so much fun in that campaign.
Yeah, you've really experienced like a lot of what like normal experiences are in D&D, like to have divine intervention work, to have a TPK, to have like almost anything that you could think of that could happen in D&D almost has happened. It's wild. It's really interesting to hear. Crazy. I have not been through a TPK yet. I've been very close once, and someone was smart enough to save my cleric girl at the last minute, and she basically got them all the hell out of there and did a prayer of healing in the end, which, thank God for that fucking spell. First of all, thank you, Wizards of the Coast. But like, oh man, but it's craziness. I love it. So much to do. But we've been talking for quite a while, which is amazing. I love it. But we should wrap up, and my last question always is, why do you think people should get involved in D&D? Why do you think people should play?
Because it's fun, it's amazing, and it's such a refreshing and unique experience. No 2 players ever have these same experiences. Like, even if you took say 2 different groups of players and ran them through the same campaign the same way, they would play it both completely differently. They would have completely different experiences. They get completely different outcomes. And they would enjoy every minute of it, because D&D is such a social, communicative, and fun game. There's so much to it, and it is amazing and fun. And I just think, like, it's so much fun, and you shouldn't deprive yourself of the opportunity to do that. I mean, it's become mainstream recently with stuff like Critical Role and the rise of other online D&D streaming like stuff, but before that, it wasn't mainstream. But I really think I'm glad it's coming mainstream, because more people should have the chance to play this wonderful game that has infinite possibilities, basically, that you can make your own world, your own character, your own person. There is almost no way, I personally think, that anyone could not enjoy some form of D&D. And it's so much more accessible now with all the online apps.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
there is not a better time to start D&D than now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. Like with online, when I first joined, I was like, but how are we gonna see anything? But like through things like Roll20 and even D&D Beyond, like there's visuals now, and like there's things that you can see and even immerse yourself even more, which is amazing. You don't have to necessarily go out and buy all those like mini kits and paint them yourselves and buy the dungeon tiles. You don't have to actually spend a lot of money to play this game either, which I think is phenomenal too. You can almost do it for free. Yeah. So
And like, there's so much customizable experience as well, because there's so many different settings.
yeah. I've been personally excited to hear about like the one recent new one where they're all in the frozen north, and all of my friends have been like, it's Canada, and I was like, yes, we get represented finally as a freaking biome in a world besides like the long dark video game and things like that. Yes. But I've also heard it's very horrifying and scary, and Canada's not like that, so we'll leave it at that. But it's such a cool game, and I actually agree with like the different experiences because, as mentioned before, I've already played through Curse of Strahd, and now I'm playing it again with a different character and different class and everything, and it's very different. Very, very different, because I'm realizing now how much Crumpler had like shifted and changed things that's not directly in the book. Because I know Lourdes is pretty much following it chapter by chapter as closely as she can, with bringing in some background things. And I'm realizing, the thing that I remembered or thought I remembered isn't really what I remembered. So it's been fun to hear all these changes, and like suddenly you never know when that goddamn vampire is gonna appear, because I've been shocked, mentally shocked at the moments that we've had in that one, just even in this different group and different session alone. It's been quite interesting. So even you playing through a campaign a second time, it's not going to be the same either. So I think
no, it's not.
It's just so cool. D&D is literally for everyone, and even if you feel like you might not fully get it, hopefully you will find a group that will just help you with it too, because there are so many people. I think this community specifically is the most friendliest and most like helpful group you can ever find out there. It's sure you can find like helpful people for Minecraft and for streaming and blah 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 blah, but D&D is actually about the team and the group. So it's really cool that they are there for you and they will help you through everything.
Yeah, I think the best way to end that, I think, is to say, if you don't enjoy the D&D experience you're having at first, talk to someone. If you're a player, talk to the DM. If you're DM, talk to your players, because communication in D&D goes both ways for everyone to enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. We all want to have a good time, so it's really important to make sure that if you're not having a good time, find a way to make it a good time or make something work, because there's been many times where we see things happen to groups, and I've been a part of a group that completely fell apart. Well, for me, it fell apart. They're still just streaming and things like that. But, there's just, if more people didn't really take that opportunity to be like, hey, I'm not having a good time, can we work this out? A lot of things would be better in life if people did that more. So, there you go. I agree. Alrighty, well, that was a lot of D&D today. Oh, I'm so happy. D&D makes me so happy. This definitely made my day better. I hope it makes all of your days better as well. We will wrap it up there. Any last parting words, Nightshade?
Go out there, find D&D, and play the hell out of it, because it is worth it. Every minute.
Hell yeah. I could not agree anymore. So, thank you guys for listening to this interview. There's a lot of experience just within this hour that we've talked, and I really appreciated all of it. So, thank you, Nightshade. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. And I will see you next time in the Dragon's Den, whenever that'll be. Goodbye, guys.